Movie poster basics, things that we typically see in a movie poster every time we see a promotion, an ad, or go to the the movie theater. But we may not always be aware of some of these things that we see all the time. So, what are some of the basic elements of a movie poster? Well, one, there's the title of the movie. Important to note is that the title of the movie is typically the biggest text on the page. So example here, a movie back from like the early 2000s called Big Fish. The lettering quite large. All the other lettering significantly smaller compared to the title. Um, Generally some kind of strong or creative font choice for that fits the style of the movie. The font needs to be readable. If we can't read it, there's no point, right? So sometimes too much decorative is too much decorative. The release date. Other than knowing the name of the movie, we also want to know immediately, well, when's it coming out, right? So it is typically much smaller than the title. You can see here on the most recent movie poster for Sinners that only in theaters April 18th, all right, is significantly smaller than the title. It's still easy to read. You want people to come to it, so you don't want it to be too small. But a clean, sort of like what I call a sans serif font without all the decorative serifs on it is usually best for a nice clean read for the when it arrives. The tagline. The tagline is usually a short statement or a short sentence that sets the mood or the feeling of the film itself. So here in the Frankenstein movie, only monsters play God. That's the tagline. Okay. If you've read the book or you've seen the movie, which is derived from that, you can see where, Monster had to play some decision making and played God in several circumstances. Anyway, if you're working with a comedy, it could be a humorous kind of a tagline or serious depending on the genre of the film that you're trying to create a poster for. Again, the font could be either serifed or sans serif, but readability is always the key. It too is often a little smaller than what the title is. The lead actor names. Generally, there's 2 to maybe 7 or 8 actors that get top billing in a movie. Their names are often highlighted somehow as the prominent lead, so says their contract, right? They're often well known. Sometimes they use their first and their last names, all right? Others might be so popular like Cruise that you don't have to use Tom in front of it, right? So sometimes they'll play with just the last names on there of the actors who are starring in the film. Again, readability is important. They are smaller than the title, sometimes smaller than the tagline. Okay, tagline here, playtime just got real. So it must be something comedy related, comedy action. But the names could be oftentimes across the top, sometimes either above or maybe below the actual title of the movie. So there's a few places. So if you kind of look at some samples of movie posters, you'll be able to kind of visualize and see some of the different places that designers ends up putting these items. The producer box. At the bottom, always in a true official movie poster, you will see the producer box, this area down here. This one has sort of a slightly dark medium blue, aqua blue color to it. It legally has to be there. It is in the contract with the actual film company, with the actors that are the leads, with the music people, with the set designers, with the directors. There's people that get billing that have to have their name on the movie poster, the official one. And all of this legal stuff has to be on there. And because of that, they used condensed font. We studied this earlier in the semester, right? Fonts that are stretched vertically so that they are letters and characters much closer together. We'll be using a font called SF Movie Poster Font. I'll show you where and how to download that so that if you choose to have a producer box, it's optional for the traditional track graphics. It is required for my honors graphics students. So I can provide that when we get to that portion of it. Typically, you will see all proper names, like the name of the company or like Keanu Reeves' name down here. They're all capitals and they're larger than the words that link them together, like starring or director or um, produced by. Those words are smaller in point size, but the people's names and the company's names are always going to be a slightly bigger font size. Film awards. This is some extra credit and options. Many movies after film festivals or after the Academy Awards, which we just had in January or February, movies will win awards, actors in movies, or the actual director will win something. And so they tend to then immediately after they've won something, add those to the movie poster in what we call laurels. It's a leaf. It's a type of plant, the leaf laurels, and they decorate sort of like parentheses around what the movie has won. So this one here called Leads has won something at the Tribeca Festival in 25, the Hollywood Park Festival, the Austin Festival. So this one has won several different awards from different places. I have I have provided or will provide for you all the laurel icon, and then you'll be using small text to kind of describe what it is that your movie won for. So there are different types of genres and different types of designs for movies, right? So some movie styles are the single actor poster. Okay. Normally it highlights one of the people in the movie. This one here has a Paul Rudd. This is a movie that just is coming out recently. It's called Anaconda, and it's a comedy. And it came out, it looks like at Christmas time. And he's one of the 3 or 4 actors that are in it. And so what sometimes they do is they'll have a movie poster highlighting each of the actors that star in it. So this is called sort of the single actor poster, right? He's being strangled, obviously, by the snake, and you see jungle happening off in the distance behind him. All right, but this typically happens when they want to eventually make a movie poster highlighting, like I said, each of their characters. The multi-actor poster collage. This started getting really popular when Star Wars started to happen back in the early 70s, and it's kind of made a revival again now. Is that you see headshots of different characters in their costumes or whatever. Here, this one's called Life. And this one failed miserably at the movie theaters. It got lots of poo-poo reviews, by the way, so I wouldn't run out to go see it. But you have these 3 characters, and they're showing us them up close. They're obviously in their space suits. We understand it happens out in space, right? But we see the headshots, and they kind of start to blend and fade. Like they've kind of been erased on with using the eraser tool with like the opacity set really low. So it starts to just kind of blend into what's in the background already. All right. One thing to always make sure of is make sure that if your person's face head, if the eyes and the face are kind of looking off of the poster area, that takes anybody's view off the poster area. So you might consider flipping the person so that they're looking into the movie poster as opposed to off the movie poster. These three folks are looking squarely at us, which is awesome. Okay, so it's a great view. They're staring right back at us, which is wonderful. Some more examples of the multi-actor, right? Avengers has been really dominant in doing this, especially like for the Endgame stuff, where we start to bring in all these different characters from the Marvel universe, right? Star Wars has been doing it. This is the last one that they recently had done, where we start to see all the different characters, droids, good guys, bad guys, everybody kind of homogenizing all on one big collage. And again, you can see how it fades into the background, right? And whatever might be in the background. One thing I do want to point out is Avengers, look how many of the characters' names are at the top. That is a lot. Okay. When we start to make our posters, I'm going to suggest that you go from like 2 to 4 lead characters that you want to have starring, because otherwise it does get a bit busy at the top. Another form of design that has become popular off and on in the last several years is using big words through the middle of the poster somehow, just like literally on it. This one is actually for the movie Imitation Game, and they use the big words to kind of be the tagline. So here they're kind of breaking one of the rules of creating a movie poster. Typically, the tagline is not larger than the title. But if you've been designing movie posters for a long time and you know sort of how the rules go, the idea is that then at some point you can challenge the system and break the rules, right? And so this has become sort of a rule breaker kind of a thing. But for us, we're going to stay away from the rule breaking. We're still working and learning with the rules. So keep your information a little bit size appropriate as we've learned so far. Sometimes the letters that they do enlarge have a little bit of transparency to them. These in particular seem to be 100 or pretty darn close to 100. They might be more around 90 or so, but we don't really see much through them. Sometimes the words are the title, and other times, like I mentioned, they're the tagline. Here are some other versions of that that have been out over the last several years. Um, this is sort of a little bit of a repeat, but I want to make sure that people get the idea that because there are different genres of movies, like comedy, wacky guy comedy, there's romantic comedies, there is action, there is suspense, there's horror, there's drama. That there are so many different genres of movie posters, you've got to use the colors that represent them. And so, again, this is sort of like the last ditch effort of making sure that you don't lose points for not using proper colors or changing images, photos, and all to represent colors that mean that particular movie style so that people understand it. We've been trained to understand that certain colors represent different kinds of movies. So, this is the click here so that you can get to that if you've not done that yet. All right, but you'll also have this click in our instruction slides as well. So you'll have more than one place to kind of see those different things.